What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new StarCraft 2 video. This one, guys, is all about life. So let's get into it. So guys, for those of you who have been watching my content on the YouTube channel, you know very well that I am a huge fan of a guy named Life. Life was a Zerg player who played from South Korea, played for a couple of different teams. One of them, the one that I really remember very clearly, was KT Rolster. So KT Rolster Life, guys, this was a guy who I thought was completely changing the game in many ways, was one of the most brilliant minds within StarCraft 2, just his strategies and everything that he was doing at the later stages of StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty into Heart of the Swarm. This was a guy who was at the top of his game. We're going to talk about the rise, the fall, and then where could Life be today? We're going to speculate all these different things, and we're going to talk about it here in this video. So guys, Life is a player who, was starting to rise to fame throughout the course of 2012. He was an incredible player who was winning tournament after tournament, winning a lot. Let's just put it that way. He was winning a lot of tournaments. He won back-to-back MLG championships, and this is back when MLG actually was a part of the pro circuit of StarCraft 2, or they had StarCraft 2 as part of their pro circuit. And he won many different tournaments spanning throughout, 2012. And this guy, he was going up against some of the best players in the world. And I think one of the biggest things with Life that made him so special was just how young he was. And this guy was, when I started watching him, he was like 15 years old. He's absolutely crushing it on the pro scene and was winning so many different tournaments and just making a real name for himself throughout StarCraft 2. He was just a lot of fun to watch, guys. For those of you who never watched Life, he was, at times he was really aggressive, other times, he could play that macro focused game, so he could really, play any kind of style, and that's why I wish we could have seen him continue playing and seeing what he would be able to do nowadays in StarCraft 2, because this guy was just absolutely incredible. Well, anyways, Life was the first player to win 2 MLG championships back-to-back, and I thought that this guy, at that point in time, guys, I was like, man, this guy could very well be the greatest StarCraft 2 player of all time. This is also a guy who went to back-to-back global final championships, guys, at BlizzCon, okay? So at the highest level, guys, we're talking like the Super Bowl of StarCraft 2, he went to back-to-back titles or global finals. He won one and then lost one. But it was really at that time, guys, where, from 2012 to 2015, this is where I saw a player that I thought that I would never see anything like him ever again as far as StarCraft 2 is concerned. He was just at the top of his game, playing so well, so much potential. And then all of a sudden, guys, we come into 2015, and then, of course, the 2015 match fixing scandal. And I'm going to make a video on this separately, guys, but this was really what kind of was the turning tide for Life. Obviously, that match fixing scandal basically put him into prison. He was imprisoned for 18 months, and he was fined a good amount of money, and essentially, guys, he lost everything. This was, a guy who rose to fame so quickly, from a young age. I'm going to say from, 2012 all the way up to 2015. He was getting to the peak of his dominance in 2015. Really 2014, then 2015. He was still at the top of his game, still making it all the way to the BlizzCon global finals. And it's just this was something that it hurt me. It hurt a lot of people in the StarCraft community, because this was, a turning tide in StarCraft 2 esports. This is where, StarCraft 2 esports was really starting to rise. It had been rising over the years. It was kind of, a lot of esports titles can thank StarCraft 2 for really making esports just even a bigger and bigger thing. And then, of course, other games came along that made it bigger and bigger over time. But StarCraft 2 really started that. And so this was a game that was kind of like the OG of esports titles, and you have this huge issue that happens with this match fixing scandal, and it seeped through all of esports, really made a lot of tournament organizers and such really start taking a step back and figuring out what they need to do to make sure that that doesn't happen to their game in particular. And so I have a real bittersweet kind of feeling toward Life, who I have said it was the greatest ever at the time, and now I believe Cyril is starting to gain on him. But I gotta say, guys, that this was a guy who was just absolutely incredible. Was complete rise to fame was so quick, and he was just growing and growing, winning so many different tournaments and just proving everyone. I mean, it was just kind of, he was like that guy who no one wanted to play against because he was just so tough to beat. And so I would have loved to see what would have happened had the whole match fixing scandal not happened, if he would have never done any of those, things, and what would have happened? Where would he have been now? Would he have been able to continue his dominance? He made it to back-to-back BlizzCon, Global Final, Grand Finals. Could he have gone to 3 or 4 or even 5 of those and just really continued his legacy? I believe that he could have, and it's an unfortunate thing that we'll never know. So what is he doing today? Well, it's a great question, guys, but there's really no information on it. As far as the match, actually, after the match fixing scandal happened, he was sentenced to 18 months in prison, as well as, suspended for 3 years. He was given a really big fine. So, I mean, he was arrested. It was January 29th, 2016. It sounds like, he was arrested by the prosecutor's office in Changwon. And, guys, it's such a sad ordeal for me. I mean, because as I said, Life, in my opinion, was one of the greatest StarCraft 2 players of all time. He still is to this day, but this is a guy, for those of you who never got a chance to watch Life, he won 10 premier tournaments, including the 2012 GSL Season 4, the 2014 WCS Global Finals, the 2015 GSL Season 1, and he had received a total of over $460,000 US in prize money, which made him the second most tournament earnings behind MC, who was another StarCraft player. But this is a guy, he was just getting started, it felt like. He was just getting started. He won 2014 WCS Global Finals. He made it to the 2015 Global Finals. He lost in it. But where could this guy have gone to? And, it's mind-blowing to me, guys, where he could have gone to. And so we'll never know, and it's such an unfortunate thing. And unfortunately, we won't really even know what he's doing unless he emerges out of from somewhere or another. As far as I am aware, that he's just living a normal life essentially. So 18 months in a prison, and then from there, I mean, he's technically suspended for 3 years. So he very well may be getting out of his suspension this year, or maybe even into next year. It's hard to say, guys, but really no other information has been filed about where he is at this point. All we know is what happened, the rise, the fall of Life, and it's a sad thing. But I do have to say that we have hundreds of hours of just footage of Life playing different StarCraft 2 matchups, seeing what he did at the 2014 WCS Global Finals, seeing what he did at 2015 Global Finals, the 2012 GSL, 2015 GSL, the different premier tournaments he won, just the prize money, all of that, guys. What it all came down to was a guy who was the top of his game and allowed something illegal to kind of get in the way of his legacy. And it's an unfortunate thing, but this is the legacy of Life. Let me know what you guys think about all of it in the comment section below, because Life was controversial, whether you loved him, you hated him, or you were just kind of in the middle, kind of in that middle ground. Let me know what you guys thought about Life. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? Subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.